In this video, we're going to learn how to draft the pattern for an asymmetrical dolman sleeve dress. From the edge of the paper, measure upwards 16 inches and mark the point. 16 inches is the half length. From that point, measure down 9 inches for the armhole and 10 inches for the bust point, and 16 inches, which is the half length or the waistline. So go ahead across the paper and retake this measurement. So from the shoulder line down to the armhole 9 inches, to the bust point 10 inches, and to the waistline, which is 16 inches already. On the shoulder line, divide your shoulder measurement by 2. So I'm working with 14.5 inches as the shoulder measurement. Divide by 2 is 7.25. Go down to the armhole line and mark the measurement as well. Next, on the top line, I marked 3 inches for the neck. You can use any number you want. You can use 3.5 or 4 inches. Then from the shoulder, go ahead and measure the length you want the sleeve to be. I used 10 inches for the length of the sleeve. Alright, so let's finish up the neck. So from that top line, measured 2 inches down. This is because I want the neckline to be as close to the neck as possible. So remember that one part of the shoulder is asymmetrical, that's like an off shoulder. So from the shoulder point, measure 2 inches out. So the 10 inches I marked for the sleeve length, so I'm going to go down to the armhole and take the measurements there as well. So to that 10 inches, I measured an extra 1.5 inches to the sleeve length. This is because I want the sleeve to relax very well when it curves down from the shoulder point. From that point, measure down 1 inch. This is just for the shoulder slant. Then from that point, go ahead and connect it down to the armhole line. And also connect that point to the shoulder for the shoulder slant. That 2 inches we marked out from the shoulder point earlier on for the asymmetrical part. With our French curve, let's connect that point to the neck with a curved line. On the bust line, let's mark 1/4 of our bust measurement. I'm working with 34 inches as the bust measurement, so 1/4 of it is 8.5. So I marked it here. I'm working with 27 inches as the waist measurement, so 1/4 of it is 6.75. I added an extra 0.25 for ease. So from the bust line, I measured down 3 inches. This is just to help me to curve the curve line that goes from the waist all the way to the sleeve. Okay, so let's smoothen out this area. Alright, time to cut out the pattern. Here I'm making use of 4.5 yards of Duchess fabric. So as you can see, I have pinned down the pattern paper on the fabric, so I'm adding 1 inch allowance on the side seam, and the fabric is placed on fold. So here on the sleeve, I'm adding 1.5 inches allowance there, so I'm going to use that 1.5 inches to fold the sleeve, and also it's going to have an elastic there. To cut the back piece, I placed the front piece on the fabric and measured 1 inch zipper allowance. Then on the waist, I added 0.5 inch seam allowance. On the neck as well as the shoulder, I also added 0.5 inch allowance. So here is the back piece. So as you can see, I've already gone ahead to cut out the slanted part of the shoulder. At the center back on the waistline, I marked 0.5 inch. From the waistline, measure upwards 6 or 7 inches. And we are going to connect these 2 points together. This is just to curve the center back. So because our back is not really that straight. And it's also going to prevent the zip from folding when you fix your zip. So let's cut it out. So I'm going to use this fabric as lining. So I'm going to cut out another back piece that will serve as lining. Here's the front piece and I cut 2 of it. I will use one as lining. For the belt, the length is going to be 57 inches and the width after folding it is going to be 2.5 inches. So here I measure 6 inches as the width so that when I fold it, it's going to be 3 inches. Then the other half an inch, I'll use it to sew it together. So remaining the 2.5 inches as width. So I went ahead to cut extra because the other one I cut was not up to 57 inches. It's time to cut the second half of the dress. The flare that was attached at the waist is going to be a 360 degrees flare, and I'll cut the front separately from the back. This one right here is the front flare, and as you can see, it's on fold. So here I'm marking 4.5 inches from the edge. From this point where the 4.5 inches I measured ends, from there I measured 35 inches as the length of the flare, and I'm measuring it all around. On the screen, I'm going to show you how I got the 4.5 inches I measured earlier. Remember, this front flare is actually 180 degrees, which is half of 360 degrees. The back flare is also going to be 180 degrees, so when you add it to the front, it will become 360 degrees. I'll go ahead and use the front flare to cut the back flare. Here, as you can see, the back is also included here because I already used the front to cut it. So I added 1 inch allowance for the zipper. Alright, so it's time to sew. Here I'm joining the 2 pieces of the belt together. I fold it, and with half an inch seam allowance, I'm joining the sides together. Here's the front piece, and the other piece I used as lining, so I'll take it to the sewing machine and join them both at the neck. Here I've joined both of them together, and I'm also doing the same thing for the back piece too. Okay, so I'm done joining them together. So this is what they look like. So the next thing I'm going to do is join the shoulder of the front to the back piece. I took the back piece, and at the tip of the shoulder I used it to cover the front. So at this position now, we use pin to hold them both together. So here I'm going to do the same thing on this side as well. Now I'll take it to the sewing machine and join them together. Okay, I'm done with it, and this is what it looks like. As you can see here, I'm cutting off the allowance I added on the sleeve. Why I'm doing this is because after joining the front and the back piece together, it became too thick. So I decided to cut it off. I went ahead to cut this piece of fabric. The width is actually 3 inches, so when I fold it, it became 1.5 inches. So with the piece of fabric on fold, I'll join it to the sleeve. This is what it looks like after joining them both. So I went ahead and did the same thing for the other sleeve. So now it's time to join the front flay to the front bodice. Here's the front flay. I'll place it on top of the front bodice, right side to each other, and sew it together. And I'll also do the same thing for the back bodice and the back flay. I've sewn them together, so it's time to attach the lining to the flay as well. I went ahead to use the lining to cover the seam, so I folded the lining 1/2 inch inside and used the pin to hold it in position. Then I'll take it to the sewing machine and top stitch on the front. Same thing I did for the front, I'm also going to do it for the back. But before I do that, I have to attach the zip first. And the zip is an invisible zip. Alright, so this is what it looks like after attaching the zip. As you can see, it's looking very neat, but I have to take it and iron it first. The next step is to attach the lining to the zip. So after doing that, I will now fold it in to cover the seam at the waist. I'll also do the same thing for this side too. Alright, it's done, and this is what it looks like. I've gone ahead and I ironed it. So the next thing is to join the side seam. Join them together down to the hem, and after that I'll go ahead and hem it. Also, I added 1 inch allowance to the hem just for hemming it. So the dress is almost ready, so I can't wait to see what it looks like.